About creation and evolution. Yeah?
Yeah, so much.
Somebody tell me something they've learned about by raising your hand and me calling on you. Tell me something you've learned about creation you didn't know before.
We did not evolve from a monkey.
You did not evolve from a monkey. That's a good one.
Or dog. We will not transform into any other
You
creature.
will not transform into anything else. Good one. Yes.
Monkeys were not us, but we could do another way.
Right. Somebody else tell me something that they did not know before.
Monkeys do not wear shirts.
Okay. Something serious.
Everybody.
Tell me, okay, I want somebody to tell me something that they learned in school about evolution
Monkeys.
and then came here and found out that it wasn't the truth.
That in school we were learning about science, and they said that we kind of evolved from monkeys and stuff. But then when I came here, I found out that we didn't.
That's right. And how many days did it take God to create everything?
6. 7.
If you think 6 days, raise your hand. If you think 7 days, raise your hand. It was 6 days, guys. Remember? Because on the 7th day, what did he do? He rested, right?
6 days.
In 6 days, he created everything, right? What day did he create all the animals that fly and all the ones in the oceans and the seas?
Day
Day
4.
Brother Lucas is waving back there. I think he knows the answer. It's the 5th day. The 5th day he created all the little fishies and everything that swim and everything that flies, right? What day did he create all the animals on the earth that walk on the earth?
7.
The 6th day. The 7th day he rested, remember? That was on the 6th day. Ooh, I got a question that'll stump you. When did he create us?
6.
6th day.
He created the animals in our.
What about the things that crawl?
All the things that crawl on the earth and that walk, and humans he created on the 6th day, right?
Yeah, he created things on the 6th day.
Yeah. Can I get everybody to look up here and pay attention? We won't be really long today, okay? Hey, actually, did everybody get a paper in their chair today?
Yeah.
I want everybody to pick it up and look at it. I want you to pick up your paper and look at it. It looks like this with the dogs on the front. Everybody have this picture? Paper? If you don't have one, raise your hand and somebody would love to come around and give one to you. Raise your hand really high if you don't have one, and Alyssa will bring them to you. I think chances are they're probably just under somebody else's chair too, because I handed them all out this morning. I laid them on your chairs.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them just laying on the floor.
Okay, well you can just grab one up then.
Okay.
Just grab one up. All right, I want everybody to look at the very front of it where it has the wolves and the other dogs. Everybody look at the dogs. Everybody got the dogs on there? Okay, I want everybody to say, ooh. Okay, now I want you to turn over to the other side. And I want you to look at that. Everybody see the back side?
What does it show?
I want everybody to say, ah. Say, ooh. Ah. Okay, now put them underneath your chair and leave them alone for a second. Those are some papers that you can take home with you and look at later after today, okay? So if everybody can just put them under your chair, I just wanted to explain what they were so that there was no questions and wrestling with the papers. All right. Does anybody remember our power verse for today? Does anybody remember the power verse? Brother Greg was out here acting all goofy and nobody remembers the power verse? I'll let you cheat.
Oh Lord, how
Okay, just a second. Can everybody look up here, please?
Oh Lord, how faithful are they? It's right there
On the count of 3, I want everybody to please just quiet down. Thank you. Magically appeared.
Them all the
Hold on. We're all going to say it at one time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh Lord, how beautiful are thy works. In wisdom thou hast made them all. The earth is full of the riches. All right, isn't that pretty cool to know that God has made them all, right?
Can I touch that?
What did we talk about last week? Does anybody remember?
Creation.
What about creation?
The 7 seas. The 7 seas.
Did we talk about how God has created everything after its own kind, right? And how we can't turn from one thing into another, right? So, have animals evolved? No. We're going to talk today a little bit about how animals couldn't have evolved because of the way that God created us, okay? DNA. I'll explain this cool little thing to you. Do you know we all have DNA? Everybody has DNA, right?
Yeah.
Scientists have found this, and it's a cool little molecule, and all living things possess DNA. You know, even plants have DNA. You know what DNA is?
It tells what you
It
tells what it is.
It tells how you're made up, right? What makes you who you are. It's kind of like, DNA is kind of like a recipe. Has anybody ever baked anything?
No.
Well, I love to bake. And in recipes, you have certain ingredients to make a certain thing, right?
So the ingredients are like in the DNA?
So DNA is like the recipe. DNA tells you what ingredients to use to make up the person that you are, right?
Like explosive cupcakes?
Well, not really like explosive cupcakes. All right. Like this. We're going to talk about different types. So, for example, the dog kind. Everybody like dogs in here?
Yeah.
I'm getting a dog tomorrow.
Huh?
I have a dog tomorrow. I already have a dog.
Okay. And how many?
I have
Okay.
3 dogs. My grandpa has 4 dogs.
Question. Hold on.
Kenny raises them.
Do you know that this dog right here, does this look like anybody else's dog? Does anybody else have a dog that looks like this?
I know someone has dogs like that in their backyard.
I have a husky.
We have dogs like this up in our field, but they're not our pets, right? These are wolves. These are the wild animals, right? But this is a kind of dog, isn't it?
Our huskies.
Did you know that the dog that Noah brought on the ark probably looks similar to this? It's probably more of like a wild dog, right? But over time, there's been all different kinds of dogs, right? So, does anybody have a big dog that looks vicious and mean like this one does?
I have a
Yeah? Maybe? From
From
those original dogs came many other dogs, right? So the dogs that we have today aren't going to look like the ones that we had, or the ones that we have today aren't going to look like the ones that were back like in Noah's time, okay? But there's still the dog breed. So somebody tell me, do you might have like a little bitty puppy?
I do.
Like a little bitty puppy? What do they look like? Somebody tell me. I want one person, everybody really quiet. Really quiet, really quiet. And whoever I call on your name, let me call on your name and I want you to tell me what your dog looks like, okay? Let's go with Briley. She looks pretty anxious. Briley, what kind of dog? What does your dog look like?
It looks like a sad puppy.
Sad puppy. Does it have like big floppy ears or is it little bitty ears?
Floppy ears, and he's a pug, and his eyes are like.
So he always looks sad.
I thought the dog had
Who has a dog that has big old floppy ears?
Me, a boxing.
Okay. Lexi and Hannah, I want you to tell me about your dog with big floppy ears.
The one is her name's Susie, and she almost ate a cat.
Oh,
And the cat bit her.
okay.
It did.
Does anybody have a dog with really long hair that sheds? Rachel?
My dog, Bo Peep, she's a puppy, and she's black and white, and her hair, like when she walks, like drags on the floor.
Uh-huh.
And like every time she goes to the bathroom, we have to clean her because she always gets it all over because her hair is so long.
So we all have different kinds of dogs, right?
Yeah.
And they're not all going to
We
look
have
the
braids.
same.
My dad got a dog.
Does anybody else have, what other animals do you have?
I don't know. We have 2 more dogs. We got.
Kiriana?
I have a gerbil. Well, his name is Niblet, and he likes me, but then he doesn't like anyone else. And whenever he has like a little plastic baseball, the wiffle balls, but his doesn't have holes in it, and he'll take it and smack it to the glass of his cage.
Just a second. Can I say something? I'm hearing Kiriana, but I'm hearing a lot of other people talking, and that's not very polite. If you're telling about your animal, I think you're going to want everybody else to hear it. So could you all please just quiet down and listen for Kiriana's story, okay?
And sometimes he'll take his ball and he'll smack it to the side of the cage, and that's when he wants out. And then if you pick him up and you hold him he likes to be held by his neck when you pick him up because he doesn't like to be held by his stomach. But when you get him out, he likes to be held by his stomach. And then he'll bite you when you want him to put him back in the cage. He's a weird little gerbil. And he's
Does anybody else have any gerbils?
Oh,
I used to.
You have a gerbil? What does yours look like?
Mine is
White? What color is your gerbil?
black.
See?
white and
So,
black.
is it still a gerbil though?
Yeah.
Yours is still a gerbil?
Mine's
different color,
only
right?
3 months old.
Okay.
I have a
Does anybody have any
hamster.
cats?
I have a hamster.
Lots of cats. Cats look a lot different, don't they?
But
We
they're
have one
Does
cat.
a calico cat look the same as a Siamese cat?
no.
Looks a lot different, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Just
why?
the different colors.
All right.
My aunt has a cat that I
So, just like there's lots of different variations in the dogs, I want you to go back to a recipe now.
What about hamsters? Didn't talk about hamsters.
Hamsters are kind of like gerbils.
No, they're not. They don't sleep.
Kinda.
They don't go in the. They don't wake up
Okay.
in the dark.
Let's go back to baking. Does anybody like to bake?
Oh, me. I love only both of them have the same energy.
Who likes to make cakes?
Oh, here it is. I have an easy bake.
Yeah.
I
Is there anybody, I want somebody, okay, has anybody ever had their mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, somebody show them how to bake something?
Well, my mom showed me how to make cookies.
How many of those, okay, let's just see number of hands that your mom or your grandma has showed you how to bake something.
Mom.
Now, of that person,
Mommy.
did their mom or dad, or did their mom or grandma or somebody show them how to bake that?
No.
And then maybe their parents showed them how to bake it?
No.
It was passed down over generations, right? And so, you know, you can take a recipe that maybe your great-grandma started out with. And then by the time that you get it, you're still getting the same thing, but sometimes some of the ingredients might be able to vary just a little bit. You still
Well, you
have
might
a cake,
not
but
have
maybe
it.
instead of having a chocolate cake, you have a chocolate chip cake.
Well, maybe
But
it's
is it still a cake?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, maybe you
So-
don't have the same ingredients.
That's kind of how DNA is. DNA is combined, and after being passed down, after changing within the same species, within the same kind of animal, you get all these different variations, right? So you can have a recipe for a cake that have many different cakes, right? kind of like this, right? We can have lots of different things. I like to add stuff. Sometimes what I do is I'll take a cake, just a regular cake mix, and I'll add in extra stuff. Because it sometimes will make it better, right?
And sometimes we will.
Like chocolate chip.
And sometimes you can take a cake and make one big, huge, round
Like up to
cake,
the
right?
ceiling?
And then sometimes you can make just little ones or little cupcakes. Ooh, who likes little cupcakes?
Ooh, me.
Those are my favorite, right? They're bite size, so you can just eat them. You don't even have to cut them and have a plate. Those are pretty cool, right? You know, kind of like the dogs here. You can kind of have a bite-sized dog too, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not really gonna eat the dogs. And just like this cake recipe here. Excuse me. Just like this cake recipe here, how you can change it. Maybe change a little bit of the ingredients, and it's gonna stay the same. It's still gonna remain a cake. That's kind of how this DNA has been passed down with dogs and with other animals.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Would there be many kinds of DNA in heaven?
No.
No, I don't believe so. All right. So now let's take this cake. Let's add in different ingredients. Can we add in enough ingredients to turn this cake into lasagna?
No.
Why not?
Because it's just a cake. How can you turn cake into lasagna?
Cake is one kind of
You
thing.
mean you can't just add noodles into the cake and then it's automatically lasagna?
No.
You have to have the stuff that makes lasagna.
You have to have
cake into
noodles and all the. It would have to. You can't make a noodle cake into lasagna. That just be gross.
So you mean that if I take cake mix, what if I decorate it like lasagna? If I decorate it like lasagna, it'll turn into lasagna, right?
No.
Really?
No. But you could just put a
It can look like lasagna. It just won't be lasagna.
So you can never
It would
take,
taste like cake.
you're telling me that you can never take then a cake and turn it into lasagna?
No, only God can.
I know. Can you take a cake and turn it into pizza?
No, only God can.
Pizza's my favorite. Or you can take a cake and turn it into pizza?
Yeah.
I know. How about if I take pizza and turn it into a lasagna?
No. No, you're gonna have to add pepperoni to the
So you're saying there's just no way I can do that, right?
No, only
I
God
have to have a
can.
cake and I have to have lasagna and it's two separate things, right?
Or you could just mix it together for a big monster to come and eat it.
Can I have everybody's attention, please? I need everybody to stop talking, please. It's not going to be much longer here. But, so you're telling me that if in order to get lasagna, I have to have the right ingredients for lasagna, right?
Yes.
And in order to get a cake, I have to have totally different ingredients to make a cake.
Yes, like powder.
So,
Or sugar.
just like when you're making things out of a recipe, there's limits to it as opposed to what it can be, right?
Yes.
It's kind of how our DNA is. You can't take a monkey and turn it into a human, right? Because its DNA is not the same. The makeup of that, the recipe, we'll just say the recipe of a monkey is not the same as a human, right?
Yes.
No. So you can't take animals and turn them into humans or turn them into another animal, right? You know, there's a certain thing and it's called, some people will say, well, that DNA slowly changes over time and it turns into something else then.
No, it won't.
There's a certain thing and it's called mutations, okay? Mutations are kind of like mistakes in DNA. So sometimes there's a little something that happens that's wrong with it. But most of the time what happens is called natural selection. And that certain animal, it can't live or it can't survive in those surroundings because of those mutations. Okay? So, do you see, let me see if I have that one on here. Here, let's just go to this one next. So you don't see, do you see fish swimming around with wings?
No. But
What about, do you see a cow with fins?
no.
No.
It has to be a cowfish.
That doesn't work, right? What about a cat walking around barking?
No.
No.
It always walks around.
So question, see these two dogs? Do you think, what kind of dog do you think would be up in the Arctic where it's really cold? Do you think it would be a
It's
dog?
Alaska Husky.
Hold on, do you think that it would be a dog that has really short dark hair?
No.
Or would it be
Yes.
like thicker fur and maybe white? What do you think it'd be?
Black and white. Black and gray. Black and
Who
white.
thinks thicker fur, thicker white fur? Who thinks short black hair? It'd be the thicker, right? The thicker because for one, it's cold up there, so that thicker is going to keep them warmer. Okay? And the white, so that way they can kind of blend in with their surroundings, blend in with the snow a little bit more.
Like if there's hunters.
Yeah, kind of like if they were hunters. So they would blend in a little bit more. When God created us, He created our DNA different from dogs and from animals, but we're all of our same kind. So our DNA is going to match other humans, and dogs' DNA is going to match other dogs' DNA. Just because they're different, that recipe has just kind of slightly changed over time, but they're still the same kind, right? You can't take a dog and turn it into a cat or turn it into a fish, right? Take a fish dog.
Or
That doesn't
goldfish.
work. Right.
There's a catfish.
And animals adapt to their surroundings. So even like, let's just say dogs, for example, since dogs are what we're talking about today. Even with dogs, they still, you can have one kind of dog that could survive in the really cold temperatures and in the snow, and another type of dog that couldn't. Why is that?
Because one type of dog has no paws, and one type of dog has really long paws that drown.
What do you think would happen to the dog that has like a, really light, thin fur,
He'd freeze to death.
and it's like really dark colored? He'd probably freeze, right? Because he wouldn't be able to keep warm.
No, it would probably freeze to death to a nice bird.
Yeah. And other animals would probably, they would maybe even get him, right? They might even get the dog. They would what they call prey on him. So that dog may be a feast for another animal. Yikes. So dogs can adapt and survive just like other animals and other people. Like me, I could never survive in cold weather. Like I couldn't live in Antarctica where it's really, really cold. I could bundle up and put a lot of clothes on.
Well, you could. No, you couldn't.
But, so I could stay warm, but I couldn't survive there. But there are some people that, they don't mind living down there in those temperatures, and their bodies have kind of adjusted to it to where that, I could go down there and be freezing, and they'd be like, oh, it's just a little chilly in here, right? So things change over time. And it changes, but it's not going to change into another type, right? Question. What is this?
Horse.
Horse variations.
Horses.
Horses?
Horses.
Do you see any horses that have any wings on them?
No.
That would be a pig.
No?
No, it would be off in the cartoon.
So that'd be chicken. Chicken.
Do you see any chickens that have any fins?
No. No.
No.
No.
The booties. Where does it go?
Triceratops.
This is a type of dinosaur, right?
They are triceratops.
Right. So when God created us, He created us with a specific design in mind?
I mean a Pacific art.
Right, specific art. But he also designed us to have some variation, right?
You mean
Yeah, they all have.
So that variation means that there's different types of people, there's different types of dogs, different types of animals.
There's different types
But
of
those
kids.
different kinds and types can't turn into something different.
And there's
Right?
different types of planets.
You know, there was a scientist that tried to say that they found a dinosaur
There's no way.
that had wings.
There's no way. Yeah, there's pterodactyls.
They found fossils of dinosaurs that had
That
actual
would be a
wings.
dragon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can believe
That
that.
would be a dragon. Then a dragon. Okay.
They
Yeah,
said that it
there's
was
those
feathers.
bird-type
They found
dinosaurs.
feathers on these. They said that these fossils were feathered dinosaurs.
It's true.
No, I know what feather dinosaurs.
Dinosaur was there.
Right. So do you think that they were feathers on these dinosaurs?
No.
Yeah.
Did you know those same scientists, after studying it out, many of them found that they were wrong.
Yes.
And many
One of
of
them found that, guess what? It was an actual bird. It was a bird. It wasn't a dinosaur, it was a bird. And you know what? There was one case where they studied this out and they're like, oh, this is a feathered dinosaur. And guess what happened?
What?
They had a trick played on them. Anybody like to play tricks? Me. Yeah. There was a farmer that played a trick on them. And they made this fossil. They made it to look like a feathered animal. Can you believe it? All right. So we all know that we can't turn into anything different, right? What are we all made up of?
God.
DNA. Which means what?
What we're made of.
from anything.
What
What
we're
we're
made
made
of.
of. We all have a certain recipe that makes us up, right?
Yeah, it's called skin
It's called skin and lots of other things.
and blood.
So within this recipe, do you think that we would be able to, I know, since we can't turn into monkeys, maybe we came from
Jupiter.
alligators. Maybe we came from alligators.
No! Do you see these sharp teeth? Do you see
From alligators, right? No matter how often people try to tell you that we came from monkeys or we came from a ball of slime,